Well, welcome to Focus Today. I'm your host, Perry Atkinson, and I am really excited to have in the studio with us today a guy that we Skype in every morning, but now he actually hopped in his car, broke all the speed records, and got over here this morning.
Slid over.
Curt Bennett's with us. He's with the Bennett Group at D.A. Davison, and joining me today to talk about something very special. We have been mentioning for quite a while now that it's been 30 years, Curt. I don't even know where the time has gone. 30 years that the Dove finally is going to get its own permanent home, and we're pretty excited about that.
The days go by slowly, but the years go by fast.
Boy, do
right?
they ever. And the circumstances that brought us to this point are just flat miraculous. And so after 30 years of renting, we're going to get our own building, and we take possession of it after the first of the year. And we figure we have at least 90 days of work before we can possibly get in there to do the renovation. And so part of that is been asking people to pray about getting a building, and God has answered that prayer, so thank you. And now we're asking you to prayerfully consider maybe a year-end gift to help us with the upfront things that we have to do. We got some architectural things, engineering things, and permit things.
Permit things.
And
everybody's got a permit here, a permit there.
I'm just a broadcaster. I am not a contractor. And all of a sudden I realized I got to know codes, and I got to know all this stuff, you know. My new best friend is the county, the city, and the fire marshal. But anyway, you had a suggestion for those that maybe they want to consider in helping us. And I've heard about this in distance. I've never looked at it firsthand. And that is how people maybe could support us in this effort on the year end with stock donations. How does that work?
Oh, it's a great thing. I mean, the markets have been up 150% over the last 3 years. I mean, the markets this year are up double digits, in the 20s, in the mid 20s. And so if you have bought, or a person has bought, an individual stock through their broker or their advisor, and they had bought a holding, whether it be Lithia Motors, or Procter & Gamble or Microsoft, and it's appreciated in value. It's an unrealized gain. Kind of like your property, that if you buy something for $10 and now it's gone up to $20 a share, you don't pay taxes until you sell it. And then you harvest that gain and you pay taxes on that $10 gain that you had. Right. But if you donate that to a nonprofit, like the Dove, you get the value of the $20 for your donation.
Wow.
The Dove receives the stock, can sell it, the capital gains goes with it, but as a nonprofit, you don't pay capital gains tax.
Right.
And so you harvest the $20 value. The donor gets the $20 donation, and when in all reality it only probably cost him $10 for that $20. So it tends to be a real win-win situation.
And no capital gains tax on them.
And no capital gains, because the nonprofit doesn't pay capital gains tax. And so it's a great way, especially at year end, when you look at your portfolio and say, hey, here's a great way that I could gift to the Dove in this capital campaign. We can give. We actually have an account set up at D.A. Davison for the Dove. We've had this for some time for some of these capital campaigns, that people can make stock donations to that account. And then, Sue will send out a recognition of that donation, and you value it on the day that it's donated, and then we can use the cash to pay for permits.
And that's a whole nother another adventure. Well, here's what we've been mentioning to our viewers and listeners. We need about $75,000 up front to pay for those permits and some engineering and architectural things that have to be done. At the end of the day, we're only renovating inside a building. Right. We're not doing anything on the outside. We're just changing the inside. But even then, you have to have the city saying, well, where's your architecture? Where's your engineering guy? And
where's your ADA toilets? Where is it?
Well, and your electrical and all your wiring. And those watching on the Dove TV, you're seeing a little bit of a 3D aerial view of the building itself, and that gives you a little bit of an idea of what we're doing there. But so our year-end goal is $75,000. Well, as of today, that is now down to $62,000. And so thank you for those of you who have been praying about what the Lord would have you to do to help us on that year-end gift. And so you may want to, again, if you have any questions about if you have some stock and what you want to do there, I didn't know how that really worked, but I think I understand it. So if you have stock, as an example, and you bought it for $10 and it's now valued at $20, and this is hypothetical, you can donate that to the Dove. We have an account with Curt over there at D.A. Davison. They get the full $20 donation value. They don't pay any capital gains. We are a nonprofit. We don't pay any capital gains. And
you get the $20. We essentially sell the stock. And if you choose to, if this is of interest to you, I would just say, give me a call at 541-608-4386, and I can help explain it to you, and I can work with your advisor or whatever. It's all done through kind of back office transfers. It's a very simple process. Or call Sue here at the station, and she kind of knows it. We've done it with her church. We work with a number of churches when they're doing capital campaigns. It's a way for them to raise money, but she can direct you to me as well. If you don't remember my phone number, but Sue knows here that I think she'll be the contact person at the station to at least direct them back to my office, and I can work with your advisor or whoever to facilitate the donation. But as we close in on year-end giving, it's a chance for you to gift. The taxes are going up around. There are extra taxes that didn't exist a year ago federally.
There's some more now.
There's more now, and so it may be a great way to help facilitate this capital campaign.
Well, that's wonderful. Well, thank you for thinking of us and bringing that to our viewers and listeners' attention. And by the way, if you're looking for a good financial advisor, there's one right there, Curt Bennett, and his.
Somebody behind me?
No, right there. It's right there. Behind you is a blue spruce Christmas tree that we're giving away. So if anyone want to win a live blue spruce Christmas tree, go to theDove.us.
I bet that came from Four Seasons.
It did. Yeah, Tim was the guy. Well, Curt, thank you.
Well, thank you for all you do. This is such a great ministry. You reach people around the world. I know you reach people locally, just I'm sure as you do. People come up to me constantly and say, "Oh, I hear you in the morning," and just out of the blue. And I just know that you reach a lot of people, and it's just a great ministry.
All right, thank you so much. All right, I'm going to give you a more detailed update on what's happening with the building in just a few moments. But again, if you need to get a hold of Curt and get more information about how this can be done, 608-4386 is the number to his office, or you can call Sue here at the Dove, and she'll make the connection with you as well. But again, Curt, thank you, and thanks for the cookies, and you had a good time at Festival of Trees last night.
It was just a great event. It always is, and it's a great way to kick off the Christmas season. And
tonight is Gifts of Grace at Cascade.
Yes, we'll be there.
Well, last night was the Festival of Trees. However, it's open to the public starting on Friday and Saturday. And then Friday, Saturday, and Sunday is going to be the live nativity out of Jacksonville. By the way, even with a little snow, that ought to be a lot of fun. Take a walk in the snow and go to the live.
And then go in and get a little hot cider.
There you go.
And listen to the music.
All right, God bless you. All right, we'll be right back.
Hi, I'm Paulina, and I work at the Dove TV. Did you know that when you support the Dove TV, you have a profound impact, not only in our community, but around the world? It's your continued support that takes the inspiration and hope in the programs we produce and makes them available to the thousands of people who are watching these videos online every week. Help bring encouragement and hope to our valley and beyond by making a secure online donation today at our website, theDove.us.
Okay, I'm back, and just wanted to take a few moments today to update you where we are with the new Dove building project. And I've been wrestling a couple of days on just how to express this without getting so detailed that it bores you to death. But this is a huge project for the Dove. We've never taken a step of faith quite this big. I thought television was a big step of faith, and it was at the time. But today, taking on a building project is huge. And for over 5.5 years, we have been looking for a building. We are literally just maxed out where we are. It's been wonderful, but God has been increasing the Dove's footprint with radio and television and internet and all of these things. And with that came some added staff and things that we needed to do. And the best way I can describe where we are today is we are a size 12 in an 8 shoe. So we are maxed out. There's just not much more we can do here. And my heart's desire is not only to reach more people with the gospel through media, but also to get more students in here and train them to become the next generation Christian broadcaster, whether they go into secular broadcasting or they go into Christian broadcasting, or at least go back to their church and become educated on how to use media in their church. In either case, our desire is to continue on with our internship program and training students in all aspects of Christian media. Well, finally, after looking at 60 some odd buildings over the last 4.5, 5 years, I have to tell you, at times I was tremendously discouraged and frustrated. We actually had deals, and then they fell apart. Some things just didn't feel right, you know. And so I backed away. And all of a sudden, as you know, we asked you to pray. Our prayer team was praying that, Lord, that you would provide an opportunity for the Dove to find a home after 30 years of renting. Is it possible that we could find a building that we could afford that would fit our budget, which isn't a whole lot, and yet give us the room to expand, to do more? And the only thing I can say, the short story, is that God miraculously has supplied the opportunity for the Dove to buy a building that fits our budget in terms that we can afford, and move forward into this building. And where we're asking you to help is that we have to renovate it. There's no question about it. We have to change it into the studios and the things that we need. And so it's an 8,000 square foot building. We're putting in about a 3,100 square foot mezzanine in it, which we can put offices upstairs and use the downstairs for studios. And it gives us plenty of room for growth. It's located at the airport, of all places, 2070 Milligan Way. And so if you go out at the airport and you're on Milligan Way, you come past Mercy Flights Around, you'll see it tucked in behind there. And Mr. Bern Case, the airport director, has been very gracious in helping us accommodate, to work out all the details to get in there. And we're working with now the permits that have to be done. And I'm a little overwhelmed with it. My to-do list is huge, and working with some contractors who are working with us, Rush Binky and others, Claudio Alvarez and some others now, who are going to help us figure out how to get this project done. And on the screen, well, I don't see it, I'll show it here to you in just a moment, are some potential layouts of what we're going to do. Those watching on the Dove TV can see a little bit of a 360 view of what we're going to do with the building, not only upstairs and downstairs. That is a downstairs view that shows offices, radio studios, a television studio, and a fairly significant room that we can do ministry in as well. So we look at this new building as a ministry center, a training center for students, and a broadcast facility that we can develop more content for radio and television in spreading the gospel. So I can't say that this hasn't been without challenges. It has. I think anytime you take a step of faith, you feel the pushback of the enemy that doesn't want you to go anywhere. Every time we take a step of faith to put another radio station on the air, or a translator, or even the television station, you take these steps of faith, and then there's this kind of an attack of opposition of what you do. We certainly have felt that in many ways. But I know in my heart this is of God. I just know that. And it's that I operate on and move forward, and the staff and everyone, we move forward with this. And so it's come down to, between now and January, we have to raise about $75,000 to do the preliminary work to get ready for the build out. And maybe you've gone through this with your church and you understand what I'm talking about. It's a new experience for me. I'd just rather stay on the air and promote other ministries and do what we do and spread the gospel. But now we're involved in this, and we have to, because it's a blessing and we need it. Desperately, we need it. So the $75,000 that we need is for upfront architectural fees, some engineering fees. And what I mean by engineering fees, some of the structural engineering that has to be done on the inside, and permit fees. We're estimating those. And so that's what is needed. And we just ask you to pray about what the Lord would have you to do with a special year-end gift. I know a lot of other ministries are in the same mode. So don't take from what God's called you originally to be involved in. But if the Dove ministers to you and you know that it's helping other people and you want to help us to get to this level, I see the building as a tool. That's all it is a tool to do more for what God's called us to do. Then pray about it and see what the Lord would have you to do in a special year-end gift to the Dove to help us with this project. This upfront funds is needed right away. We don't take possession of the building until after the first year, and then we figure it's probably a good 60 days, if not a little bit more, of planning the build-out, and then 3 to 5 weeks of actually doing the work of the build-out, and it's going to be done in what they call a fast-track build-out. You can go to the Dove website. Right at the top of the page, you'll see a big red button up to help build the Dove's new home. You can click on that and get involved in the project if you want to, not only financially, but maybe with your material resources or even your volunteer help. You can let us know on that, and we'll get back to you. But I am asking for your prayers. This is a huge opportunity. I was given a report just 3 days ago now, of some of the people who go to the Dove website, some people who go to the Dove programming and look at some of our YouTube videos of the previous shows that we've done, of the interviews that we do here on Focus Today. And did you know in the month of November we had over 42,000 YouTube views? That is huge, out of little old Southern Oregon and the Dove. And people are downloading our YouTube content, of the interviews that we do, and then they share it with other people, and it goes to somebody else, We're getting letters from states all over the country. We're getting letters from other countries and emails. So the Dove is impacting people. And here's how I see it. Just share my heart with you for a few moments here. If we're going to reach people in these crazy days in which we live, I believe media is the missionary tool of our times. We know a lot of people are turned off from church for various reasons. We know a lot of people will never darken a church door. We know a lot of people want to go to church and can't, whether it's family dynamics or health or whatever. They're locked in and they can't get out. We know a lot of people who are desperately seeking God, and they're looking for answers to life's tough questions. And the key verse that the Lord had given us quite a few years ago that solidified what we do with television is this verse. It's found in a couple of places. It's found in Isaiah 65 and also found in Romans 10:20. And it says this: I was found by those who were not seeking me, and I manifested myself to those who did not ask. So God is using the content of the Dove's radio and television programming and matching it with the person at the right time when they're not even seeking Him or looking for Him, and all of a sudden He matches the content, and in that content He manifests His love to them. And that's the essence of the letters that we get and the emails that we get from people who have been touched by the Dove's programming. And so our desire is to do more. Our desire is to create more programming that's impacting to lives, both radio and television. I just feel deeply about training the next generation in what we do here and let them take it to levels that God only knows. We want to be on all of these platforms that we possibly can to reach people. And then we trust God to do what only God can do, and that's matching the content with the person's need at the right time. And believe me, he is doing it. 42,000 YouTube views just in the month of November. I think we had 33,000 some odd people go to our website last month. And so we know that God is using the Dove in many, many ways. And then this little devotional. I sit on the board of the Word for You Today devotional. And we are sending out 7.5 million of these worldwide every quarter. There are several thousands that go out here just in Southern Oregon. And God is using this book all over the world. Coming up in January, finally, a Spanish edition is coming out. And 4,200 Spanish-speaking churches in the United States have put their hand up and say, we want a copy of this book. And boy, it's just exciting to see how God is using this. What's it all about? Bringing hope, bringing encouragement, bringing healing and information to people who need it. And when you support the Dove, you're part of that. I can't tell you what your partnership means to us here. Every month at the Dove, every month, almost every week, is been accomplished by faith. We don't have huge budgets. We don't have any big sugar daddies out there underwriting things or anything like that. We haven't got any big foundations doing anything. It's all done by those of you who love what we do and support us in doing it. And we know that there's a huge open door to reach more people with unique and different programming. And we have a fairly, well, not fairly, we have a big announcement that we can make in January of another accomplishment of the Dove TV that's just been significant. And so God is using this. So pray about helping us with a year-end gift. We need to raise $75,000 between now and the end of the year. Pray that the construction goes smooth and we get the help and the volunteers and the material donations and the things that we do to do this build-out. We think the build-out's going to be around $360,000, maybe a little more, but that's a rough figure of what it's going to cost to renovate the building to get it ready for what we have to do. Pray about that. Pray about other opportunities to get the Dove on other platforms. We are still negotiating with Dish and Direct. We haven't given up. It's been very challenging. It's the best word I can come up with. We just need God's favor with those two companies because there's really no reason for them not to put the Dove TV on those two platforms. So would you continue to pray with us that God would give us favor to do that? And then next year we're putting on some more translators in some other key areas. And the Dove TV will take a significant jump forward in some other areas that we're working on technically. So all of this is done because of you believing in what we do and partnering with what we do to reach more people. And I just want to say thank you. Your partnership means everything to us. We literally cannot do what we do here without you. In fact, every day, every week, and every month is a step of faith. And then when we took on the building, that's perhaps one of the biggest steps of faith I've ever done in my whole life. And here we are right in the middle of it. So thank you for whatever the Lord leads you to do, okay? You can get a hold of us. You can go to theDove.us. You'll see a big red button at the top of the page. It says Help with the Dove's New Home. You can call us anytime here at the Dove, 541-776-5368. You can certainly go to the website and support us there. Or come on by. We'd love to meet you. And thank you for whatever the Lord's leading you to do, okay? All right, stick around. Our good buddy Gene Getz is going to be with us from the Life Essential Bible. We'll have a little bit of a Bible study together with him coming up in just a few moments.
Hi, I'm Daniel and I work at the Dove TV. You know, compared to Portland, Seattle, and LA, Medford might be considered a small market, but at the Dove, we're excited about the opportunity to make a big impact right here in our community. And you help make that happen. Did you know that more than 90% of our income comes from people like you? You can help us now by making a secure online donation at our website, theDove.us, or by phoning 541-776-5368.
Well, welcome back, and I am delighted to have back with us today our good friend Dr. Gene Getz, who heads up Life Essential Study Bibles, and better known as my sales manager. And there's a picture there on the screen, and I just can't say enough about this. I get kidded all over town now when I go around. Are you still selling those Bibles? You got any in the back of your truck? Anyway, Dr. Gene Getz is with us today, and he has this other blue shirt on. So we're...
right. Hey, it's gotten a little cold here in Dallas.
Yeah.
It was 75 yesterday, and it's down to about 30 right now.
Oh, well, we had, we're in the teens here. So got like 17 last night. Anyway, we're going to...
Hey, let me say something here. You know, I'm just listening in on your project.
Yeah.
That is so exciting. And my little team here, we just huddled, and we just received a gift for our ministry, an year-end gift. And what we'd like to do, as soon as we get off the air here, is I'm going to go in and we're going to write you a check for $1,000 from the gift that we received. And I'd just like to encourage 75 people out there to match what we're doing. And wouldn't that be great?
Well, thank you, Gene.
Yeah, we just want to send that to you. It's a token, but we just appreciate the fact that we can be on the air here with you and talk about the Word of God. And after all, you are my sales.
Well, thank you.
That's not why we're doing it.
No,
obviously.
That touches me deeply. Thank you so much. I just do want to say, though, if I can give a little bit of a sales pitch here, this Bible would make a terrific Christmas gift. It's called the Life Essential Study Bible. There's a picture up there on the screen. Check it out at Evangel Christian Discount Books, or you can go to lebible.com or org.
Either.
Okay. Right. And you can order it from them there. And I tell you what, we were fooling around on the air this morning. You know what? The first hour I was plugging you that you were going to be on today, and I forgot LE Bible. You know how you have those brain freezes? So we ended up calling it the QR Buzz Bible. So if you want to come out with the youth edition, you might want to name it the QR Buzz Bible.
Oh, there we go.
There you go. But anyway, in this Bible are 1,500 QR codes, and if you get a QR reader in your phone or in your iPad, you just run it over the top, and it'll read the code.
Both God and man. Though Jesus came to earth as the divine Son of God, we are to take comfort in the fact that because of his human nature, he can identify with all of our weaknesses. Luke chapter 2, verse 4.
All right, so there. And Dr. Gene pops up magically on your phone and your screen and gives you a little bit of a Bible study. And I just think it's one of the greatest resources of our day. So I should have a couple of cases of them in my truck, because everywhere I go, people say, "You got one? I'll buy one." Anyway, Gene.
By the way, if I could insert something else, I just got an email from a brother, pastor, missionary in New Zealand, had just been to Africa, and he took one of these Bibles to a pastor in a very difficult area of Africa, and he gave him a copy of the Bible, and this pastor began to read it, and he just began to weep, and he said, "This is what we need. This is what we need as pastors and leaders." Mm-hmm. And 70% of those pastors, even though they're living in difficult areas, 70% of them have iPhones.
Wow.
So that just simply means they can download these videos, even though they don't even have a copy of the Bible. They could have their own in Swahili or whatever, and they understand English, so that I can just walk right alongside them and help them prepare a message. So you can imagine what that email did in terms of encouragement.
Well, I had to speak a couple of weeks ago at a church, and I didn't give you credit.
Okay, that's fine.
But I think I did sell a couple of Bibles. All right, we want to go to Luke chapter 3 today, and both God and man. This is lesson number 7. Walk us through this, Gene.
Well, that's an incredibly powerful principle. And, of course, restating the principle is really is a powerful concept. Though Jesus Christ came to earth as the divine Son of God, we're to take comfort in the fact that because of his human nature, he can identify with all of our weaknesses. And, of course, that comes right out of the story there that is so fascinating because Jesus, and of course his parents and he are living in Nazareth, and every year they go up to the Passover feast, and Jesus is 12 years old, and they go up there and celebrate. They're on the way back, about 100 miles back to Nazareth, walking, and suddenly at the end of the day, Jesus is missing. They have to take another day to go back to Jerusalem, and takes another day to find him, and of course Mary is beside herself. And, Jesus said, well, Mom, don't you realize I've got to be about my Father's business? And already at that moment, at 12, he was aware of a certain element of his identity as being the Son of God, who his real father was. But it says he went back to Nazareth, was subject to his parents. And, of course, the text from which we develop the principle is that Jesus increased. Now, remember, he's 12 years old. Jesus increased in wisdom and stature and favor with God and with people. And the great mystery there is that Jesus is not, we just don't think of him as the God-man, but he was the God-baby. And then the God-boy here as this adolescent, and he's increasing in wisdom, that is in knowledge. He's increasing in favor with God. That's this spiritual development, even though he is God in the flesh. I mean, what an incredible mystery. He's increasing in favor with man. That's social development. In fact, I was talking with Dave, my guy here that works with me. I said, Dave, can you imagine Jesus out there at 12 years old running around, or even with his brothers, James and Jude, and he had other brothers, wrestling and doing everything that 12-year-old boys do, and yet without sin, as a young adolescent boy developing physically, all of his hormones, everything, and then in favor with God and man. Well, it's just, it's mind-boggling, and yet this is the mystery of the God-man, that Jesus Christ became flesh and dwelt among us. The Word became flesh and dwelt among us, and we beheld his glory, the glory of the only begotten of the Father, full of grace and truth. But, of course, the significance of that principle is, because he can identify with our humanity, he now is our great high priest at the right hand of the Father, because he was tempted in every way we are throughout his, growth, and yet without sin. Anyway,
well, what you're given here is such a special additive to the Christmas story. He went from baby to adolescence. I've always thought about two things. What was happening in Mary's mind, knowing that her son was in the synagogue talking with the big guys? And I always wondered what the big guys thought. They had a 12-year-old in front of them holding them accountable to Scripture.
Right. Well, they were mystified.
Yeah.
They were amazed.
Yeah.
They were amazed at his wisdom, even at that age.
So, the essence of what you're trying to communicate to us here is the human side of Jesus. I mean, yes, he was God in flesh, but as a young boy, the human side, so he knows what it is to be here. He knows what it is to walk this walk.
At all stages of growth and development, until he went to the cross. I mean, the 33 years of his life, he identified with every, now get this, it's hard for me to conceive of this. He identified with every temptation that every human being faces. Because it says he was tempted in all ways that we are. I can only take that literally. So every temptation in a person ever has, sexual, social, in every way, he identified with that.
Boy, wow. And, I've been doing some shows on recovery, people who are recovering from all kinds of addictions and things. And the mystery is that somehow God can get in the middle of that addiction, Christ can, and walk them out far beyond anything that a counselor could possibly say.
Yeah, and the interesting thought that just went through my mind there is Jesus obviously was able and is able to identify with an addictive individual.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I don't know how that worked out.
I don't know either.
But I don't understand the Trinity either.
Yeah.
I don't understand the incarnation either. I mean, it is a wonderful, incredible divine mystery.
All right, let me take a quick break. We'll come back. We are going into Christmas time, and sometimes family tension can be interesting, challenging, and Dr. Gene Getz is going to help us walk through one of his lessons on that. Anyway, the Life Study Bible, the Life Essential Bible, the Life Essential Study Bible. Check it out. You can go lebible.org or .com. You can find it there. Check it out at Evangel or Christian Discount Books. I'm telling you, folks, here's my sales pitch. My boss is watching. This would make the most unique Christmas gift you could possibly give to somebody. It's got over 1,500 QR code lessons in it. You run your QR code reader over the top of that. Up pops Dr. Gene, and he'll give you anywhere from a 5 to a 10-minute Bible lesson on that particular principle. All right, we'll be right back.
Hi, I'm Paula, and I work at theDove TV. Every day we get letters and emails from people who've been encouraged, blessed, and challenged by the programs on theDove TV. But we couldn't do it without you. Did you know that more than 90% of our income comes from people like you? You can help us continue to bring inspiration and hope to our community by making a secure online donation at our website, thedove.us, or call us at 541-776-5368.
Okay, we're back with Dr. Gene Getz, and we're doing some studies in the Life Essential Study Bible, and I'm telling you, I'm so high on this thing. Hold on.
Tensions. When we have family members who have not received the Lord Jesus Christ as personal Savior, we must not give up hope regarding their salvation. Here's Gene to explain.
All right, now what I just did was I just took my QR reader on my phone and I ran it over the QR code in the Gospel of John, chapter 7. And Pastor Gene is going to pop up here for the next 14 minutes on my phone and give us a Bible lesson. And there's 1,500 of these from Genesis to Revelation. And I think it's just one of the most resourceful tools that has come along in a long time. So anyway, check it out. You may want to get one of these for a Christmas gift for somebody special, maybe for yourself. Check them out at Evangel or online at lebible.com or .org, and you can order one there. They're beautiful leather-bound Bibles, and just an incredible resource. All right, Gene, so we're heading into Christmas, and things can get a little tense around the Christmas tree.
Right.
So
by the way, that's certainly another area that Jesus can identify. In fact, it just went through my mind for the first time based on our previous discussion that Jesus grew up there in that home and with his brothers and sisters. And yes, indeed, he did have brothers and sisters. They weren't cousins.
Yeah.
They were half brothers, half sisters. But he grew up there, and can you imagine some of the tension that existed even when he was 12 years old? And yet, that was part of his growth as a human being, yet being the God boy. And
can you imagine him coming along and correcting your homework, your brother and sister's homework?
Yeah, that's right. Maybe that's where his growth and wisdom caused him to hold back.
Yeah. Well, Mary said she contemplated those things in her heart, you know.
Yeah, right.
All right, so what's the lesson here?
Well, basically, of course, there are several events listed in the Gospels when he began his ministry where his brothers were not believers. And it says specifically in this passage that they were not believers. In fact, they were taunting him they were accusing him really of being prideful. And on another occasion, in another gospel, there was a time when Jesus did go into the synagogue and read from the prophet Isaiah, and he stopped short of the fulfillment of all of that in the coming days when he will come as King of Kings and Lord of Lords. But he went and sat down and then said, today this prophecy is fulfilled in your ears, and right now. And of course, they got so hostile, they tried to take his life. And his family said, he's crazy. He's crazy. He's nuts. He's out of his mind. And so, you know, there was a lot of tension here. But the point that I bring out in this particular principle is that the text definitely says there in John, they were not believers. But the wonderful thing is, on the day of Pentecost, who's sitting there in the upper room waiting for the coming of the Holy Spirit? There's Mary, along with the apostles, and his brothers. And of course, one of those brothers was James. This is not James and John, you know, the sons of Zebedee, the son of Zebedee. This is James, the half-brother of Jesus, who became a chief leader and pastor elder in the church in Jerusalem, eventually wrote the first book of the New Testament letters, which is the book of James. There's Jude, who was a brother, who wrote Jude. And my whole point there is never give up in praying for your brothers and sisters and family members who do not know Christ.
Well, this is a key section in the Gospel of John for that very issue, because you're going to be meeting with family members who are not believers, and there's a lot to be taken from here. Part of this is how Jesus conducted himself, even though he was being made fun of.
Absolutely, and I think there's a real principle here that we need to apply, and of course I try to give a practical question in terms of how to apply a principle like this in our culture today, because we all know people who have family members who aren't believers. And how do they handle this situation? Well, certainly they want to live, like you say, they want to live in a way that their life is exemplary. They don't want to, you don't want to argue. Paul talks about that we shouldn't strive and argue because we get nowhere. We need to share the gospel, but we really also need to really pray. And as I was thinking about this, Perry, just before, you know, we went on the air, I was reflecting on my own mom, who grew up in a large family, and she and one of her sisters became believers, but she had 3 sisters who were not believers. And what I remember so clearly growing up on the farm there in Indiana, my mom praying for her 3 sisters. Now, she shared the gospel with them, but there came a point in time where they were resistant, and so she just lived and prayed. And over a process of time, years, and I saw all 3 of those sisters come to Christ. In fact, because of Mom's burden for them, I remember when I went as a student to Moody, I wrote a letter to all 3 of those sisters, my aunts. I wrote a respectful letter just sharing the gospel with them based upon my mother's example. And the exciting thing was to see all 3 of those women come to Christ. Of course, all 3 of them now are in heaven with Mom, but never give up.
Wow.
That's the point that I'm making there.
What a beautiful story. You know, in this atmosphere of pluralism where anything goes, we're all talking about the same God, that becomes an additional pressure on how to separate the clarity of the gospel of Christ away from all of these other religions without seemingly being disrespectful or bigoted in some way. You know the drill, but we're living in this pluralistic society, and people are just thinking, oh well, as long as I'm a good person, I'm heading up.
Right, and that's a hard message to get across when they're being bombarded with just the opposite. And you simply have to come back to. I remember Billy Graham when he was interviewed on Good Morning America after his book Amazing Grace came out, when Charlie Gibson was interviewing him, and says, "But Billy, you know, what about, you know, people have never heard?" And so, and it was, you say that Jesus is the only way, and just graciously, Billy came back and said, "Well, Charlie, I just simply go back to what Jesus said. You know, he said, I am the way, the truth, and the life, and no man comes to the Father but by me. And he said, I believe that, and I preach that. But Billy, and he said, Charlie, God's a righteous judge. And, you know, didn't argue, just said we need to trust God in that matter. He is a righteous judge. He will never, ever be unjust. So I think we can take a lesson there in terms of sensitivity, no compromise. There was no compromise in that statement, but with gentleness and graciousness, but backing off at times with family and just praying. And you know what happens? At times, God brings other people into the picture to do the sharing that's outside the family. Now, in my case, and to be honest with you, it just hit me as I was talking here today and sharing that story. I hadn't thought of it before, that maybe the Lord used my letters to supplement what my mom had done. I was still in the family, but I was kind of on the periphery. I wasn't a sibling. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But see, God uses those things and answer to prayer.
But you know, there's another key part of your story there, Gene, that I know is personal to you, but you made mention that your mom went from witnessing to praying.
That's right.
And I think that is a key. There's a time that comes when you just say, all right, I'm going to continue to pray for my loved ones and trust God to arrange the circumstances to finish the job. And maybe he used those letters from you as part of those circumstances. But your mother had the wisdom as when to back off and trust God through prayer.
Right, and even Jesus, you know, he said, a prophet is without honor except in his own country. And there came a point where Jesus just backed away, evidently, in, you know, putting pressure on his own family and trying to get that message across. But eventually, it appears that they all, we can't say all, but it appears they all became believers following the death and the resurrection of Christ.
Well, Gene, you're a delight. Thank you, my friend. God bless you and your team and your family. Merry Christmas to all of you. And I just want to say to our listeners and viewers, check this Bible out, the LE Bible, Life Essential Study Bible, lebible.com or org. You may want to take a look at it at the Bible bookstores here in the area. And it would make a terrific Christmas gift. And the gentleness that Gene just shared with us today is the gentleness of all 1,500 of his YouTube videos that pop up through these QR codes. And it's just wonderful.
Well, and let me say at the end to your listeners, I'd love to see y'all just really support this ministry and put a generous check in the mail if you can to this ministry to get the studio in order, get all the, what was the original, what do you need right now, 75,000?
You're right, right.
Well, I hope that we're going to send 1,000, and I hope other people could match that right now and get this project behind you so you can move forward and doing all this good programming.
Gene, you have touched me deeply. Thank you, my friend.
You're welcome.
All right, God bless. All right, we'll see you next time on Focus Today.
Hi, I'm Jim and I work at theDove TV. Every weekday between 6 and 8 a.m., our award-winning news and sports team bring you the best morning show around. It's live, it's honest, and it's a whole lot of fun. And you help make it happen. Did you know that more than 90% of our income comes from people like you? You can help us continue to air local programs that share your voice by making a secure online donation at our website, thedove.us.